Do you know what the real, fundamental difference is between a man who is genuinely, truly interested in building something real with you, and one who is simply entertaining you, passing the time, or keeping you as an option? After years of observing human connection and listening to the intimate, often painful stories of so many incredible women who have navigated the tumultuous waters of divorce, heartbreaking breakups, and the courageous journey of new beginnings, I have identified 5 signs. These are not theories. They are truths that never lie when it comes to recognizing that a man is not serious about you. And most importantly, these signs are based entirely on his actions, the undeniable language of his true intentions, not the beautiful, confusing, or hopeful words he might occasionally offer. If you have already arrived at that precious phase of life where you deeply value your time, your peace, and your emotional energy, then what I am about to share will be profoundly eye-opening for you. Because if one thing has become crystal clear on our journeys, it is this: we no longer have the time, the patience, or the desire to waste our hearts on men who don't know what they want, or worse, who are knowingly playing a double game. Your time is a sacred currency, and it's time to invest it only where it is valued. Sign #1. His communication is lukewarm and sporadic. The first, and perhaps most common, sign you need to recognize is when his communication with you is consistently lukewarm and sporadic. I want to be very specific here, because this is a subtle trap that so many intelligent, wonderful women fall into, especially when they re-enter the dating world after the consistency and routine of a long-term relationship. This type of man shows up intermittently, usually surfacing via a text message or a WhatsApp notification. His communications are predictable and generic, using those low-effort lines we all know so well. "Hi, just wanted to see how you're doing," or "Hey, how was your day?" At first, particularly if you are feeling a bit lonely or are excited about the prospect of a new connection, this might seem sweet or attentive. Your heart might do a little flutter. You think, "He's thinking of me." But in reality, what is truly happening is far more strategic and far less romantic. He is engaging in what is known as breadcrumbing. He is keeping the contact at an absolute minimum, doing just enough to ensure he doesn't lose you completely from his orbit. He's keeping the door slightly ajar, but he isn't genuinely investing the time or energy required to walk through it and get to know you on a meaningful level. And here is the crucial distinguishing point: the communication never progresses. It remains perpetually stuck on the surface. There are no deep, meandering conversations about your dreams, your fears, or your past. There are no spontaneous phone calls just to hear your voice. There are certainly no video calls where he can look you in the eye and feel a more tangible connection. If you, feeling the need for more, suggest talking on the phone, he will likely deflect with a well-worn excuse. "Oh, I really don't like talking on the phone," or "I'm just more of a texter." Let me be clear, that is an excuse. And you, with your wealth of life experience and your history in real relationships, can recognize an excuse when you hear one. A man who is genuinely captivated by you, a man who sees a potential future with you, wants to hear your voice. He will find reasons and ways to deepen the connection, not avoid them. He will be genuinely curious about the details of your day, not just asking out of robotic politeness. He will remember the little things you've told him, that you had a big presentation at work, that your daughter had a soccer game, and he will follow up on them because he is building a mental and emotional map of your life. He is investing. But so many women don't fully grasp this distinction. By accepting this pattern of lukewarm, low-effort communication, you are unconsciously showing him that it is perfectly acceptable to treat you superficially. You are teaching him that you are willing to settle for crumbs of his attention. And believe me, if he were serious about you, if the thought of you truly excited him, He would never be satisfied with occasional, shallow small talk every few days. His desire for connection would demand more. He would want to know you, to understand you, to become a meaningful part of your world. Sporadic texting is not a sign of interest. It is a sign of maintenance. He's simply maintaining the connection, not building it. Sign #2. He's still emotionally attached to his ex. The second sign, which you should never ignore or rationalize, is that he is still emotionally, and sometimes physically, attached to his ex-partner. And here, I will be very direct, because I have personally witnessed too many wonderful, deserving women have their hearts broken and their confidence shattered because of this very situation. These were women who deserved so much better than to be a transitional chapter in someone else's unresolved love story. If he still keeps in regular contact with his ex without a clear, necessary and justified reason, that tells you everything you need to know about his emotional availability, or rather, his lack thereof. Let's be clear about the nuances. If they have children together, it is not only natural but absolutely necessary for them to stay in contact. That demonstrates responsibility, maturity, and a commitment to co-parenting. That is not a red flag, that is a green one. But if there are no children, no shared business, no logistical entanglements that require their interaction, and he is still regularly texting her, engaging in nostalgic small talk, keeping up with the minutiae of her life or checking in on her, then he has not closed that chapter. His heart is still, in some significant way, living in the past. Even more painful, and frankly more insidious, is when he distances himself from you using the guise of protecting you. He might say something like, "I think you're amazing, but I need to pull back because I'm not over my ex, and I wouldn't want to hurt you if I decided to go back to her." This is one of the cruelest and most selfish excuses a man can offer. What he is really saying is, "I have not made a decision about what I want, and in the meantime, I want you to wait patiently in this emotional waiting room, hoping I choose you." You are placed on hold while he figures out his feelings. You need to understand one thing with absolute clarity. You do not need to compare yourself to, or compete with, any ex. If a man is fundamentally unsure whether he wants to be with you or with his ex, that is neither fair to you, nor is it the kind of stable, secure energy you need in your life. You, who may have gone through the immense pain of a divorce or a deep breakup yourself, know how incredibly valuable your heart and your time are. You are not an option, you are a choice. A man who is ready for a real, committed and healthy relationship will have already closed the doors to his past. He will not leave you in a gut-wrenching situation where you feel like a second choice, where you are constantly analyzing his moods, or where you feel you have to fight for his attention and affection. A man who is truly ready for you will have done the work to heal his past so he can be fully present for his future. With you. Sign #3. He consistently cancels plans at the last minute. The third sign is a classic, and it's something that many mature, kind and understanding women tolerate out of fear. The fear of seeming too demanding, too difficult, or the fear of losing him if they protest. He makes plans with you, but then, time and time again, he cancels at the last minute with a vague or convenient excuse. It will sound something like this: "I'm so sorry I couldn't get away from work. Let's reschedule soon." Or "Something just came up with my family. I'll let you know when I can make it up to you." The first time it happens, you give him the benefit of the doubt. You are a compassionate person, and you know that life can be unpredictable. Emergencies happen. The second time it happens, you feel that familiar, uneasy knot in your stomach. Your intuition whispers that something isn't right, but you might push the feeling aside and still give him another chance. But here is the hard truth you need to know. If this pattern of cancellation happens constantly, it is not a streak of unfortunate bad luck. It is a glaring sign of his profound lack of respect for your time, and it is a clear indication that you are simply not a priority for him. What's even worse is that if you passively and repeatedly accept these last-minute cancellations without expressing how they affect you, he interprets your silence as a green light to keep doing it. He learns that there are no consequences for disrespecting your time. You, with all of your life experience, know exactly how valuable your free time is. You might have to coordinate your personal calendar, arrange for childcare, adjust plans with your children, cancel other potential social engagements, or simply set aside and mentally prepare your time just for him. And he treats that precious, non-renewable resource as something trivial, something that can be dismissed with a casual text message. A man who is serious about you, a man who is excited to see you, respects your plans together. He respects your time and the effort you've made. If he truly has to cancel because of a real, unavoidable emergency, he will be deeply and sincerely apologetic. More importantly, he will immediately take action to remedy the situation. He will suggest a specific new date and time. He will not leave you hanging with a vague, "we'll talk later." He will demonstrate through his actions that seeing you is a priority he is eager to fulfill. If he cancels on you twice in a row without making a tangible, determined effort to set a new, concrete date, then he is not genuinely interested in investing in a real connection with you. His actions are telling you, louder than any words ever could, that you are a maybe in his life, not a yes. Sign #4. You don't exist in his larger world. This fourth sign is particularly telling, as it speaks volumes about his long-term intentions. A man who can envision a serious, lasting future with you will naturally and enthusiastically want to integrate you into his life, not just in the isolated pockets of time when it suits him, but into the fabric of his world. Conversely, a man who is not serious will never talk about his family in any meaningful way. He will never introduce you to anyone important in his life, and he will consciously avoid any situation where your worlds could potentially merge. You will find that you are never invited to family gatherings, not even a casual barbecue or a holiday get-together. You won't be invited to meet his close friends for a drink or a casual dinner. And if you do happen to run into someone from his inner circle by chance, he will introduce you vaguely, without context, perhaps as just "my friend," leaving you feeling awkward and invisible. What is really happening here is this. He does not want to build emotional bonds between you and the people who are close to him, because on a fundamental level, he does not plan to keep you in his life permanently. It is far easier for him to maintain the relationship within a controlled, isolated bubble. In this bubble, he can manage the narrative and the level of intimacy without giving you too much access to his real, day-to-day life. Of course, there can be legitimate exceptions. If his family situation is particularly difficult, for example, he is dealing with sick parents, serious family conflicts, or a recent loss, it is understandable that he might want to protect you from that emotional burden at the very beginning of a relationship. But a mature man who is genuinely interested in you will communicate this. He will explain the situation to you with honesty and transparency. He will not just exclude you in a wall of silence. Time is also a critical factor here. If you have been seeing each other for several weeks or even months, and you are still a complete secret to the most important people in his life, that tells you everything you need to know about his true intentions. Think about it from your own perspective. When you are genuinely excited about a new connection, when you feel that something truly special is developing, what do you want to do? You want to share that joy. You want your close friends to know about this wonderful person who has come into your life. You might even mention it to your family. You do this because happiness, when it is real, naturally wants to be shared. A man who seriously wants to build something with you will feel exactly the same way. He will be proud to have you by his side. He will want the people who matter most to him to meet you, because you are a source of happiness and joy in his life. And he wants his world to see that. Sign #5. His heart remains completely closed. The fifth and final sign is perhaps the most subtle, but in many ways it is also the clearest and most definitive. He keeps his heart completely and utterly closed to you. After weeks or even months of dating, you realize that you don't actually know him any better than you did on the first date. He doesn't share his real feelings. He shows absolutely no vulnerability. He doesn't talk about his fears, his dreams, his insecurities, or the things that truly matter to him deep down. All of your conversations remain on the safe, shallow surface. You talk about work, the weather, the latest TV shows, perhaps even past travel experiences. But you never, ever talk about the things that make up his true inner world. He doesn't talk about his insecurities or what keeps him up at night. He doesn't share meaningful or formative stories from his past. He never lets you see his complex, messy, or imperfect sides. For mature women, this is particularly frustrating and telling. You know, from a lifetime of experience, that real, lasting relationships are built on a foundation of trust, shared vulnerability, and honest emotional exchange. You have experienced enough of life to know that physical attraction and superficial harmony are not nearly enough to sustain a relationship through the inevitable challenges of life. A man who is emotionally available and who truly wants a serious relationship will, over time, gradually open up to you. He will let you in. He will confide his worries to you. He will seek your advice on important life matters. He will show you his imperfect sides as well, because he trusts that you will respond with compassion and understanding. He trusts you with his heart. But if a man consistently keeps all of your conversations on safe, superficial ground, it is a clear and intentional sign that he does not want to build emotional intimacy with you. He knows, either consciously or subconsciously, that such closeness would lead to a deeper, more meaningful bond. And that is precisely what he is trying to avoid. He is protecting his heart not from you, but from the commitment you represent. He is keeping you at arm's length by never letting you truly see who he really is. The truth you need to embrace, and now we arrive at the most important part. The truth I want you to truly understand and integrate about all of these signs. These are not character flaws that you can fix with enough patience, understanding, or love. These are conscious or subconscious decisions that he is making. They are choices about how much or how little he is willing to invest in a connection with you. And this is where so many wonderful women, especially those who have been through the fire of painful divorces or breakups, make a crucial, heart-wrenching mistake. They try to convince themselves that they can change the situation. They believe that by being better, more understanding, more attractive, more accommodating, or more available, they can somehow inspire him to change his behavior. Listen to me carefully. It is not your job to convince a man that you are worthy of his effort. Your worth is inherent and not up for debate. If he does not recognize the extraordinary woman that you are, if he is not willing or able to put in the effort that a real relationship with you deserves, then that is a reflection of his lack, not yours. It is incredibly, profoundly liberating to accept this truth. When you finally recognize these signs for what they are, clear, unambiguous indicators that he is not ready for or does not want what you are offering, you can begin to make decisions from a place of inner strength and self-respect, not from a place of desperate hope. I have seen far too many great women lose precious years of their lives in situations where they invested 100% of their emotional energy, their time, and their love into men who, at best, gave back 30%. These were women who had so much to give, who had done the hard work on themselves, who had overcome their own immense challenges, and who deserved, without question, to be fully seen, cherished, and appreciated. The problem is, when you are in the middle of the situation, especially if you feel a strong chemical or emotional connection to him, it is very difficult to see these signs objectively. Your heart, with its infinite capacity for hope, wants to believe that everything will change. It wants to believe that he will suddenly have an epiphany and realize how special you are. It tells you that he just needs a bit more time. But here is the unwavering reality. A man who truly wants to be with you will not leave you in a constant state of uncertainty and anxiety. You will not have to spend your days and nights trying to decipher his texts, analyze his moods, or guess what his true intentions are. His interest will be evident through his consistent, undeniable actions. He will respond to your messages promptly and thoughtfully because he genuinely enjoys talking to you. He will make plans with you, and he will keep them, because he values and looks forward to his time with you. He will, step by step, include you in his life, because he wants you to be a part of it, and he wants his world to know you. You will feel cherished, not confused. These are not unrealistic expectations. This is not a fairy tale. These are the basic, fundamental standards for a healthy, functioning relationship between two mature adults who genuinely care about each other. It can be deeply painful to realize that you are in a situation where the investment is not equal, especially if you have already developed strong feelings or have been holding on to hope for a long time. But I want you to consider this. Every day you spend in a connection that does not give you what you truly want and deserve is a lost day. It is a day you could have been open to meeting a man who wants to offer you real love, true commitment, and the partnership you crave. You, who have already experienced so much of life, who may have raised children, built a career, and overcome immense personal challenges. You know how quickly and precious time passes. Why should you settle for anything less than what your heart truly desires? There are men out there, mature, emotionally available, wonderful men who are actively looking for exactly what you have to give. Men who will appreciate your experience, your wisdom, your strength, and all the unique qualities that make you who you are. But you will never be open to recognizing and receiving this kind of love if you are still trapped in a situation that is draining you emotionally. So, what should you do if you recognize these signs in your current situation? First, allow yourself to feel any disappointment, sadness, or anger that comes up. It is human and necessary to grieve the loss of a hope. But do not stay stuck in those feelings. Use them as fuel to make decisions that are aligned with the life you truly want to live. If he is lukewarm in his communication, stop being the one who always initiates. Pull back your energy and observe what happens. If he is truly interested, he will notice the shift and will step up to close the gap. If he doesn't, you have your answer. If he is still entangled with his ex, have a calm but direct conversation about your needs. You can say, "I need to know if you are emotionally available to build a future, because I am not interested in being part of an unresolved past." His response, or lack thereof, will tell you everything. If he keeps cancelling on you, create a natural consequence. The next time he cancels, don't just say okay. Say, "That's a shame. Let me know when you have a concrete plan to reschedule. Until then, I'll be making my own plans." This puts the ball back in his court and communicates that your time is valuable. If he doesn't include you in his life, it is perfectly acceptable to address it. You can ask, "I've noticed our relationship seems to exist in a bubble, separate from the rest of your life. I'm wondering if this is a temporary phase, or if this is how you prefer to keep things." His answer will reveal his intentions. And if he remains emotionally closed off, you can model the vulnerability you desire. Share something personal and meaningful about yourself, and observe his reaction. If he changes the subject, makes a joke, or becomes uncomfortable, it is a clear sign that he is not capable of or interested in the emotional depth you seek. But here is the most important part of all. Do not make it your life's project to change him. You are not his therapist, his relationship coach, or his mentor for personal growth. You are a magnificent woman who deserves to be loved and appreciated for exactly who you are, right now. If he does not change after you have communicated your needs clearly and honestly, then you have all the information you need to make a decision that serves your emotional well-being. Remember, walking away from a situation that does not nourish you is not an act of giving up. It is one of the highest acts of self-love and self-respect. It is a declaration that you deserve more than what he is currently able or willing to give you. Yes, the thought of starting over can be scary, especially when societal narratives tell us that our options decrease with age. But that is a lie. There are many mature and valuable men out there who are looking for exactly what you have to offer: experience, wisdom, emotional maturity, and the ability to love deeply and authentically. The key is to not settle for less out of a fear of being alone. A period of temporary loneliness is infinitely better than the profound, soul-crushing loneliness of being in a relationship where you are not truly seen or valued. If you value yourself enough to set the standard you desire, you will automatically begin to attract men who are on that same level of emotional maturity. So, my final advice to you is this: trust your intuition. If something feels wrong, it probably is. If you constantly have to wonder where you stand, if you have to analyze his every message, if you have to make excuses for his behavior to your friends and family, then you already have your answer. You deserve a love that is clear, consistent, and generous. You deserve a man who is proud to be with you, who includes you in his life, who communicates openly and honestly, and who invests in your relationship just as much as you do. This is not too much to ask. This is not unrealistic. This is exactly what happens when two emotionally mature adults meet and consciously choose to build a beautiful life together. Trust in your worth, respect your time, and do not be afraid to move on if what you have does not match what you so richly deserve. Do not settle for breadcrumbs of attention when you are worthy of an entire feast of love and devotion. Deeper dives, unpacking the nuances now, I want to address something I observe over and over again, a subtle trap that many kind-hearted, mature women fall into, especially after emerging from long or difficult relationships. I call it the overgratitude syndrome. What does this mean? It means that after years of pain, arguments, neglect, or struggle, you meet a man who is simply decent. He doesn't yell. He isn't aggressive. He has a stable job and treats you with basic human courtesy. And suddenly, you feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude for this baseline level of normality. This gratitude is so powerful that you begin to lower all of your other, equally important, standards. So, if he communicates only lukewarmly, you might tell yourself, well, at least he's not controlling like my ex. If he constantly cancels plans, you think, at least he's not cheating on me. If he doesn't include you in his family life, you rationalize, at least he treats me with basic respect when we are together. Do you see the pattern? You are comparing downwards, using your worst past experiences as the measuring stick, when you should be comparing upwards, using your dreams and legitimate desires as your goal. Just because a man is not violent, manipulative, or completely irresponsible, does not automatically make him a good partner for you. Those are the absolute basic requirements for human decency, not extraordinary qualities for which you should feel eternally grateful. You, who have lived a full life, who may have raised children on your own or rebuilt your entire world after a severe loss, you have so much more to offer than to simply feel grateful that a man gives you the absolute minimum of his effort and attention. Next, let's talk about something that is often a source of confusion. The difference between a man who is truly busy and one who simply does not prioritize you. A truly busy man, one who has a demanding career or significant family responsibilities, but is genuinely interested in you, will actively communicate his situation. He will say something like, "Listen, this week is going to be crazy at work with the deadline, but I'm thinking of you. Can we schedule a proper phone call on Friday night? I'd love to hear your voice." He keeps you updated because he doesn't want you to interpret his temporary absence as a lack of interest. He is managing your expectations because he values the connection. A man who does not prioritize you, on the other hand, simply disappears without explanation and then reappears when it is convenient for him, expecting you to be emotionally available as if nothing happened. The difference lies in proactive communication and the tangible effort to maintain the connection, even under challenging circumstances. One makes you feel like a valued part of his life he has to schedule in. The other makes you feel like an afterthought he squeezes in when he has nothing better to do. I also want to address the immense societal and family pressure that women your age often face. You may have well-meaning friends or relatives who say things like, "At our age, you can't be too picky," or "all the good men are already taken," or "you can't expect a Hollywood romance at this stage of life." These statements, however well-intentioned, can be incredibly damaging. They program you to settle for less. They make you feel as though having high standards is unrealistic, selfish, or a sign of being difficult. But here is the truth you need to hear and hold on to. Having standards does not make you difficult. It makes you a woman who values herself enough not to settle for half measures. Yes, we all come with our own experiences, emotional scars, and past stories. That is part of being human. But there is a huge difference between a man who has processed his past and is actively working to be a better partner, and one who uses his past as a perpetual excuse not to commit or show up today. An emotionally mature man acknowledges his emotional baggage, but he does not let it dictate his actions in the present. He works on himself because he wants to be fully present and available for you. Now, we need to talk about something crucial: the difference between patience and excessive tolerance. Patience is a virtue in a developing relationship. It means giving the connection time to grow organically, with respect for both people's pace. Excessive tolerance, however, is a form of self-abandonment. It means repeatedly accepting behaviors that fundamentally violate your needs and your self-worth. It is patience to give a shy man time to open up. It is tolerance to accept that even after months, he shares nothing personal about his inner world. It is patience to understand that he wants to move slowly after a difficult divorce. It is tolerance to accept that he permanently uses his divorce as an excuse to show no consistent effort at all. It is patience to accept that he will introduce you to his family after a reasonable amount of time. It is tolerance to accept that after half a year, you are still a complete secret. Patience has limits and is based on visible progress, no matter how small. Tolerance has no limits and is based on hope without any evidence. Finally, I want you to consider this as well. Very often, when a mature woman finds herself in a situation where she is giving significantly more than she is receiving, there is a part of her that finds this pattern deeply familiar. Perhaps in your previous marriage or in past relationships, you took on the role of the primary giver, the one who tried the hardest, the one who made the biggest sacrifices. If this resonates with you, it is vital to realize that repeating these patterns will not lead to a different outcome this time. It does not matter how much you have grown or how much you have learned about yourself. If you continue to choose men who expect you to do all the emotional work, you will, once again, end up feeling drained, resentful, and unappreciated. Sometimes, The most important personal growth is not about learning to give more or to love better, but about learning to receive what you deserve and to reject what does not serve you. This can be especially challenging if you spent many years in a marriage where you gradually got used to being treated with less attention, less romance, and less consideration. But just because you tolerated certain behaviors in the past does not mean you have to tolerate them in the future. Every new relationship is a profound opportunity to set new standards based on who you are today and what you have learned about your own worth. It is also important to recognize that sometimes we unconsciously feel more comfortable with men who are not really emotionally available because there is less risk for our own hearts. If he is not fully invested, then you also don't have to fully open your heart. But this seemingly safe comfort zone comes at a very high price. It robs you of the chance to ever experience a deep, genuine, soul-level connection. A mature, healthy, and real love requires vulnerability from both sides. It requires emotional risk, but it also offers rewards you will never get if you stay in half-hearted, safe, but ultimately unfulfilling situations. I want you to think about the relationships you know that truly work, whether among your friends, family, or couples you admire. What do they have in common? You will likely realize that in those relationships, both partners are equally invested. They treat each other with deep respect. They make a consistent effort for each other, and they have co-created a safe space where both can be their authentic, imperfect selves. These relationships did not come about because one person had to convince the other that they were worthy. They came about because two emotionally available people met and consciously chose to build something beautiful together. And that is exactly what you deserve, not a watered-down version of it, not a compromise that almost looks like it, but exactly that. If you recognize the 5 signs we've talked about: lukewarm communication, attachment to an ex, constant canceling, excluding you from his life, and a closed heart, then do not see them as weaknesses you need to fix in him. See them as valuable pieces of information that help you make wise decisions about where to invest your precious time and emotional energy. Because, at the end of the day, that is what it is all about. Using your emotional resources wisely, your time, your energy, your capacity to love, your optimism about relationships, all of these are precious resources that should be used with care. If you invest these resources in a man who is not willing or able to reciprocate on the same level, you not only rob yourself of the possibility of the relationship you truly want, but you also drain yourself emotionally in a way that can prevent you from recognizing and accepting true love when it does come your way. So, honor your experience, trust your intuition, and never be afraid to prioritize your own emotional well-being over the comfort of a familiar but unfulfilling situation. You have so much love to give, but you also deserve to receive it in equal measure. Do not settle for less, because there are wonderful men out there who are looking for exactly what you embody. A mature, wise woman who is capable of loving deeply and honestly.